Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of relocation industry. I'm your host, Ben Cross, and I'm joined by my good friend, John Zilka, president of NRI Relocation. How are you, John?
I'm good. Good afternoon. It's great to be here. We're live from Buffalo Grove, Illinois, and it's sunny out. It feels good.
Is that a water feature back there?
No, that is our parking lot. I wanted to give you kind of a different viewpoint of the outside. I know you normally don't get that in your show. So
I don't even have
a little
windows.
bit.
I don't even have windows in my office. This is the only room in I think there might be a closet somewhere, but this is the only other. No, in fact, our closet actually has a window in it. I don't even have a window in my office. I don't know. I've been here 4 years. I've done some pretty amazing things. I think I deserve a window, but what are you going to do?
I thought you were going to be live from. I thought you were going to be live from the TB parking lot again today.
Can everybody see my screen right now? Because for some reason, it's like I'm looking at myself on LinkedIn right now. Not to like be too about it, but like I'm blacked out. Is this like a? I mean, I don't know. Just let me know if you can see my face right now. I can see my face. John can see my face, but I can't see my own face on LinkedIn. So,
Janet's chiming in. She says you're frozen.
I'm frozen, but you can hear me talking right now.
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're frozen. Janet says.
Janet, what do I do?
You're back. She says.
I'm back. She says. Thank God for Janet Turner.
Dude, every time I'm on, there's an issue. We're batting 1,000 when Zilka's on. There's issues.
We're batting 0 when Zilka's on.
0, whatever.
So let's talk about this. The first time you came on, this was hilarious. I mean, not hilarious. I mean, in the moment, it was very not hilarious. But tell the story. The first time that we did this, we tried to do this.
Yeah. So you want to do your first on location show. This was would have been, I don't know, what, your first 10 episodes maybe. And Ben comes to the NRI HQ, and we're trying to set up good spots where we want to go and whatnot. We got it all set up in the conference room. We got the window, looking out the window. We got light on the faces, everything Ben says to do.
Just beautiful.
And it just did not go out there. So LinkedIn Live did not work. Facebook maybe, but it was early in the early days. So I think only Janet was listening. And so that was it.
There were two people watching.
If only 2 people are watching it, did it really happen? I don't know.
There were 2 people watching, and then after 5 minutes, like we're looking at each other, like should we do this? What should we? And then one person leaves, and we're like half the audience left just now. I mean, it was a low moment for Love and Relo. But John, you're a true friend. You stuck in there.
But we talked though for about 80 minutes, and then you put it on YouTube, and it got a pretty good long tail viewership on YouTube.
We had some fun. Unfortunately, it was also like when Kobe Bryant passed away, so we were, there might be some purple that was being used gratuitously that might not have been a good look. But Janet Turner, hello, gentlemen. Looking forward to the show. Let's see who else we got here. Brian Smith, good afternoon, gentlemen. Brian from St. Louis. Hey, if you're watching this right now, everybody, leave a comment. Let me know where you're watching it. Shout out your company. Give me a weather update. Jamie, Jamie's always checking in for Mississippi, sunny and hot Mississippi. Looking forward to the episode. Thank you so much, Jamie. It's always great to see you. I love seeing your faces and your comments down there. It really does warm my heart. It validates John. I mean, it's a double-edged sword of gratitude. So just leave it in there. Also, let's give John a round of applause and hit that applause button if you're watching on LinkedIn. Hit the like button if you're watching on Facebook. Let people know that we are on and popping here. Let's see what else is going on. We got Drew Phillips. Hey guys, happy Friday Eve from California, baby. I woke up this morning thinking this is Friday Junior, and I'm very excited about it.
I heard on the radio for the first time that Thursday is the pregame for the weekend. I kind of like that.
Thursday was a big night in college. Was it a big night for you guys? No,
it was. It was kind of the party night of all the weeks or all the days in the week. Yeah.
But your college experience was different than my college experience, okay? I had a really good college experience. But you accomplished something that very few have done. People don't know this about you, John. At least I don't think they know this about you. And I see you rocking the USC Trojans shirt. What was your college experience like?
Yeah, so I grew up in suburbs of Illinois, and then my family always kind of vacationed to California. I just kind of got enamored with it to some extent. My sister went to school in Arizona, so just always kind of liked the West Coast. And when I was choosing my colleges, USC was one of my options, and it basically came down to going to USC or Northwestern, closer to home here, because my whole family went there. But ultimately chose USC, and then when I got in, then I inquired about possibly playing football. So I mean, I played.
I inquired about it. Like there was a help wanted sign out there, and he's like, "Hey, so I play a little football." How did that?
Well, so I came to college in 2002, and so it was right before USC got really, really good with Pete Carroll.
This is before they opened the checkbook. This is before.
Easy. Talk about that. But, so I got in, and then I inquired about walking on, and I mean, true story. No tryout, no nothing. Sent some film. My coach talked to them, and they're like, "Show up in August." And this is Pete Carroll's second year, and walked on the team, and played for all 4 years, and it was the greatest 4-year run in USC history. So it was quite the ride. So.
You walked on to the USC Trojans football team in 2002. They didn't get rid of you. They kept asking you to come back and gave you a uniform for 4 years, and they won 2 titles. No, 2 titles, yes?
Yeah, 2 titles and almost won a third. So so the sports people out there, my freshman year was Carson Palmer's Heisman Trophy year. And then my last year was Reggie Bush's Heisman year, when we then lost to Texas and Vince Young in the Rose Bowl. So that was my last game in uniform. And then in between that, Matt Leinart won a Heisman. So 3 out of the 4 years, somebody on our team won the Heisman. 2 national titles, almost won a third. And then, here we are. And so, I'm rocking the USC because Reggie Bush finally got cleared to be associated with USC just yesterday after 10 years. And so it's been quite a celebration for us and the people that played back then. So it's pretty cool to have him back.
That's cool. So you basically had the best collegiate football career of anyone ever. Can you give me an idea of the stats?
For not actually having to play in a game and just kind of watch it from the sidelines, it was quite the run. And I mean, I feel lucky every day. I mean, I look back, we won 34 straight games. Like I said, 2 titles, 4 Pac-10 titles. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, I luckiest guy in the world. I mean, just fell in my lap. It was awesome.
I mean, you're like the Rudy Rudiger of USC Trojan football. This is great. Yeah. We get some people loving this story. I grew up in Southern California, and USC was my team growing up. Trojan marching band.
Yep, Tusk, fight on.
Yep, and then Jamie Massler. Now that's a college story. I think Jamie played ball in college. I think he played D tackle actually, if I recall correctly. Lynn Greenberg, that's incredible. Can we see the rings? I was a D3 college athlete.
If you were in my home office, I could have showed some more stuff, but I came into the office for this one. But I mean, I got rings, championship stuff. I got my championship back-to-back.
Can you go home and call us back, and then you could show us the memorabilia? Because people
give me a half hour.
Can't imagine the experience. USC football must have been amazing, Lynn says. Jennifer Breen says, how did none of us know this? John, you need to brag more. This is the best story. I know, right?
Most people know. I mean, I'm not a bragger. I'm not like some, I don't push a narrative out there. I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't come up in the relocation world. I like to kind of talk shop and leave it at that. But there you go. Look it up. Google John Zilka USC, and you'll see some pictures of me in action.
And you also see a young John Zilka's headshot, by the way, which is also fun. He's kind of got.
Don't tell me you have that ready to pop up here.
Sun-kissed tips. Yes, it's beautiful.
Very tan. Very tan.
Matt Tobel, Love and Relo is where now I get my sports news too. The only sports news I get. The only sports news that matters right now. This is COVID, baby. This is all that's going on right now. John Zilka glory days. Let's see. Gino, Michelle Rivera Mercado. I'm proud to be crew leader, chosen to relocate all in the NBA, NFL to and from New York City. That's a very tough claim to validate, but okay. Rock out. Tim Quirk. Hello, John and Ben from sunny Western New York. Cheryl Kilgore, you are a champion, John. I would actually clarify. He is a 2-time champion.
Should have been 3.
How many games did you actually play in? Where they're like, Zilka, get out there.
So Pete Carroll is really cool. I mean, so those who kept following him maybe in the NFL, you know, he's a really he's a player's coach. He's wild on the sideline. He's always cheering. He chews about 6 packs of gum a game if you watch him, which is highly positive, highly enthusiastic, a great leader of men. And, you know, so he ran his program like that. So here I was, a walk-on from Illinois. You know, most of the walk-ons on the team are from Orange County, you know, nearby. And I still remember, you know, the first practice I'm stretching, and you know, he says something to me along the lines of like, you know, be ready out there, Zilk, today, you know, something like that. Like,
be ready
my name, they, you know, already knows who I am. You know, this random freshman walk-on all the way from Illinois, right? Totally doesn't make any sense. But yeah, he was awesome, and looking back, taught me a lot about leadership and running companies and having a good, positive attitude. So he's awesome. He's awesome.
So,
but anyways,
so one day he said,
but he treated walk-ons. He treated walk-ons really good. So we all dressed every home game on the sidelines. I had some friends that now everyone's like link into my picture here. So the news is out to the industry about me.
They are.
But every walk-on for home games got to dress. We got to be on the sidelines. Some other programs, they don't dress. They sit in stands. So there wasn't this like massive, you know, line between scholarship people and walk-ons. So we were all a part of it. And, you know, travel. I didn't travel to many games. They didn't actually play. But senior year, they take all the seniors to the USC at Notre Dame game if that's the year that we're away, and so that game I got to go to, and then because I was from Illinois, I got to be one of the honorary captains and come out, you know, with Reggie and Matt to kind of start the game. So that was quite the experience too.
Did you call the toss? Did you like, guys? I got this.
No.
We're going heads. I don't care what Pete says. We're going heads. Okay.
No. I stayed back, but yeah, but. You know, some people think, you know, certain things about Pete because kind of what happened after the fact. Different conversation, but just a great coach, great leader. You know,
cool.
Owe a lot to it.
Awesome. People are loving that story. They're checking in right now. I feel like we could end it here and everybody would be totally satisfied.
We're talking USC and Relo today, I guess. Great,
yeah, USC and Relo. Lisa Ross, greetings from CRI. John Fernandez, Ola, Ben, and John. Ola. Shelly Bishop, hi, Ben and John from RAI. What's up, Shelly? Gino clarifies he works for all major van lines. That's interesting. People don't know this, that a lot of the help is actually independent contractors that actually work across van lines. John Fernandez shouting out GMS. Kristen McLaughlin feels that you've been lying to her this whole time. Says that's awesome. I had no idea, John.
But what am I supposed to do? Hey, I'm John Zilka, 2-time national champion. Is that how I'm supposed to say?
Yes, that's exactly what you say. That's exactly what you say. Okay. I say, hi, I'm Ben Cross, Vice President, University Moving and Storage. And you say, hi, I'm John Zilka, 2-time national champion. That's exactly what you say. Like when you get
totally
a ball,
my style.
When you get a ball signed at a conference and it's like, oh, Drew Pearson, Hall of HOF, you know, like you sign things, you sign contracts and such. John Zilka, 2X national champ.
Hashtag 80. I put my number down.
Yeah. 80 sounds like a primo number. I mean, that's totally plausible.
I only had that senior year. It was 27 before.
Yeah, see, that's not a great number for a while.
I had to work my way up to that.
Kelly Gurin, love USC. Spent a lot of time there in college. Great place, lots of fun. People are just checking in left and right. Dan Rizzo, what's up? Dan Cisco, amazing story. Everybody's digging the story. We will get to some actual relocation talk here, but just so many people coming out of the woodwork, loving the story. Give John a thumbs up if you haven't already. Our mutual friend Martin, man, you guys were talking about Kobe, right? Yep. Yes, we were, Martin. That's right. Martin says we could not see you, but we were here to see John, not you anyway. So it's all good. That's great. We did mention to John. We full disclosure.
Martin's been trolling you lately.
Martin stays trolling me. Martin's been trolling me for 8 years, okay? But that's fine because I deserve it because I've been very mean to Martin at times in his life. And we used to work together for a few years. Story about Martin real quick is he worked for me in my past life. And, you know, we did a lot of things together. He actually interviewed 3 times for that job, you know, but and he's gone on to be very successful. So I'm very proud of Martin. Let's see here. Michael Quigley. We are here today. Yes, we are, Michael. Janie Coleman Williamson. Hi, Ben and John. Happy Thursday from AHI Corporate Housing in Atlanta. People are shouting out from Old Town. I told where's Old Town? You know that, John? Where's Old Town? Old Town, Chicago?
We're going to get into this, but I'm a suburb guy, so I could not tell you all the key spots in Chicago. I could not do that. So Matt's your guy for that. Yeah.
So let's get into that right off the bat, right? So I've been pushing this agenda here. I'm going to call it an agenda. It's a formally it's an agenda, and I'm campaigning. And this is like a campaign video because John's got a campaign, I've got a campaign, and we're going to start with me because it's my show. Damn it. My campaign is the re-suburbanization of America. Okay, and the platform basically is, hey, I'm a millennial. We all went downtown. We all wanted the nightlife, the bar hopping, the fancy restaurants, date night, et cetera, et cetera. But you know what? You get married, you have kids, and pandemic hits, and you're like, forget this one-bedroom apartment with a walkability score of 99. I need a yard. I need some space. I need a home office. John, what are you seeing? Suburbs or not suburbs? What's your deal?
I'm with you. I think the suburbs are going to start growing in interest if they're not already the next 5 to 10 years. Certainly the pandemic, I think, fast forwarded all of that. So as people were so, dense and they were sitting in their small apartments, whether they were married or had small kids or whatnot, couldn't even go to parks, couldn't go to the beach, just didn't have a neighborhood to really walk through well. I think that's going to really fast forward it. So I think the pandemic does that. I've heard some of my friends, even with the riots and the looting, as noble as the protests certainly are, the rioting and the looting that came a part of it, it did create some tense situations. So I think that's going to play into the calculation in the last 3 months. Work from home adoption, I think that, the people that do want to go to the suburbs now have a better way to work where they can work in the suburbs, 3 days a week and come to the home office downtown 2 days a week. This creates more flexibility. And like you mentioned, the millennials, everyone's talking about millennials forever. And, millennials are between the ages of 20 to 40. But that second half is 30 to 40, right? So those born 1980 to 1990, I think we're both in that. I was 84, you're 81 or 2 or something.
82, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have kids now, and we need more space because of them. We need the backyard, we need the basements, and so I was always, anybody who's kind of followed me on LinkedIn, I've kind of talked about this or promoted content around it for the last year or two. There were a lot of companies, especially in Chicago, that moved their corporate headquarters downtown in the last 5 years. And they moved them, I think, because they wanted to chase the millennial talent that they believe was all living downtown.
Right.
So, and I think they may have done that a couple years too late because these millennials are getting older. Half the millennials now are over 30 years old who have families that are now more married and having kids. Now, most millennials, I think, got married and had kids a little bit later than generations before that, but now it's all catching up. And so for all those reasons, I think the suburbs are going to grow. I think it's inevitable. It's really just a matter of what percentage. Now what that means for our industry, I think, is actually somewhat positive because you're more apt to buy in a suburb, right? You're more of a renter if you're living downtown. So we need buyers and sellers in our industry. We need houses. We need more square feet to fill it up with stuff for movers like yourself. So I think you see an expansion of people having stuff. And then if this, this work from home, this exercise from home, all these from homes that can be created from this now, as the virus mentality kind of sticks with people for a while, if they start doing more things at home, then that just perpetuates needing more stuff, more space, more everything, which is also, good for our business at an extent. You've been talking about that.
Yeah. Having a home office, how many video and Zoom calls are we doing right now also, right? Like we're doing, probably, I imagine everybody's doing at least one video conference a day, at this point. And when things start to pick back up and stuff, I mean, I think we're gonna be doing a lot more. And so my point is, like, if you're doing that and you're working from home, and I think a lot of people were working from home before this, and a lot of people are still working from home now. I was actually on a Zoom call with 3 other people about a topic we're doing next week, and they were all working from home. And you need like a space where you can do that, where your kids aren't running around in the background hitting each other with stuff, and like where your spouse isn't running out of the shower. Like, you need like a private, quasi-professional little like scene behind you where it's private, no noise, whatever. And
Right,
so like
right.
I think you need these dedicated spaces, these offices, like you said, home gyms. Frankly, for me, the yard, right? My kids, my boys don't get outside and run around for an hour a day. Like, they're animals. They're gonna start eating the carpet. Like, so, you got to run them, And so I think the suburbs hold a lot of value. And when you look at what people that are these professionals that are these these affluent millennials who are paying thousands and thousands of dollars a month in rent to live in downtown Chicago and to New York. I got a ton of friends that are living in Manhattan right now, and when you could take that $2,400 a month rent, you go out to the suburbs, you get yourself a nice little, $350,000 house, and you got all the space and amenity out of it. I mean,
Yep.
that's hard to compare,
Yeah,
So,
I mean, mortgage rates are 3%. They could be 2.5% if you got good credit. I mean, that's an insane number historically, right? And
yeah.
so that's great for our industry. So all these trends are good. It's just more about now on the macro level, getting the economy back, getting companies back to wanting to move people and really kind of restarting everything.
So before we go on to restarting the economy, we talked about work from home, and I want to know: do you think that this is a short-term trend, long-term trend? What are your thoughts there?
I think it's really hard. I mean, I think most of us in this industry and other service-based industries have seen really good success from work from home. I've been amazed by it, just how well it's gone off. Yeah, at the start, we kind of fumble a little bit getting things, up and running. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, just side note, we weren't fully prepared for all this. I mean, I didn't think in a million years, you'd shut down an entire economy, but we figured it out, and it's worked really well with our staff. They feel safe at home, and they kind of like the privacy of it, and so it's been successful. And I've heard that from most businesses that it's been very successful, and they're actually pretty surprised by that. So what does this new model turn into? Where does it eventually settle? It's going to be in the middle somewhere. It's just kind of, what is that? But I do think it's here to stay in some format. And now it's just a matter of how do you structure that?
What does that impact?
And even with some of the successes, people did all this with their kids at home. And you hate to say the kids were in the way, but they were at a certain level. I mean, the original work from home was not based on kids, being there the whole time. They were based at school like camp. Right. Exactly. So now, when you throw in, if you get to the fall and kids are back in school and now they're out of the way, so to speak, it makes work from home that much easier. Where if you don't have that dedicated space, and right now that's your kitchen table or your couch, but you've had kids in the way before, now that's gone. So you can only get more productive at some level. So it's here to stay. It's just a matter of how the company structure it. I think ultimately a company still need a home base. You still need in-person interactions. Now, you've talked a lot about this, the in the hallway conversations, the elevator conversations. It's so helpful building that relationship. And, for somebody that's trying to rise within an organization, those random interactions kind of create that to happen for them. So we're dealing with that right now of what does this new way of working look like, and having a combination of the work from home success, the flexibility it brings from employee benefits, but then also still needing some level of in-person interaction from a cultural standpoint. One more other thing I read this past week was, part of the reason the work from home has been so successful is that, when this all went live in March, Most companies, we had established connections, right? We knew everybody. We knew the people we were doing this with. And it was kind of we're all in this together. Everyone's bunkered down. Let's figure this out. But when we get back to quote unquote, normal, whatever that is, and things are open and you're kind of returning to work, and you get back to the, new employees are onboarded, employees leave, out of their own volition. So you get more in and out. How do you keep that culture and that connection together when now there's new faces as part of the virtual process? So I think that's interesting to think about too.
Right. So we went into work from home having a culture already. How do you How do you hire people into a work from? Yeah, that's fascinating. So we talk about work from home and everything. So let's talk about like in your specific company. I mean, here you are, you're the president of your company. How are you leading right now through COVID-19? What are some of the decisions you've had to make?
Well, I mean, at the start of it, it was, when do we go home? And like I said, we were a little behind the ball on that. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I certainly knew about everything, but we didn't have some, task force that was created in January and February, monitoring the situation, but we, after, the things went down in March and everyone worked from home, we figured that out technology wise. And, other decisions now is how do we return to work, and so, we have the capability to do that here, but the success has been really well with our staff and they feel safe at home. We did an employee survey last week and we're going through the results of that and want their input as part of this process, but it's been challenging. And, even from just a general leadership standpoint, I'll admit this too. The other side of all this myself. So me and my wife have 4 kids. So 9-year-old, 6-year-old, 3-year-old, and 10-month-old.
Wow.
And then also during this, so in late March, we also moved ourselves just locally, just a couple miles, but we had to move and undo a house and re-put it together amidst all this, the world coming to an end around us. So from just a general leadership perspective, I mean, I'll admit it's been a challenge, to juggle, the kids moving during all this. And, so it's been tough. It's been tough.
So let me ask you, so you're saying the staff is working well from home, and that's what I'm hearing as I'm talking to a lot of leaders, but we haven't really stress tested this yet, right? We're all great working from home and the volume's half of what it normally is.
Right.
Well, what happens when things get back to what we would typically see from a volume? So, or even give me a July, give me like a reduced July, give me a 70% of normal July. And how does that work? And how do we start to really, I mean, do you think we feel it? Do you think it feels different then?
Well, it has to be harder because there's just more moves to coordinate, and so hopefully if that volume returns, we're going to find out, how well we can handle this. And I would guess that's been similar in a lot of industries, outside of, essential businesses or, grocery and certain retail, who's way up. A lot of the country's down. And so to your point, maybe this has worked because the volume hasn't been there. That's typical. So will this still hold it, when that hopefully returns? I mean, I think we're going to find out, hopefully in the second half of the year here that we get the volume back up to what we're used to around this time.
We got a lot of questions coming in right now. Let's see here. Staying on this topic, Hosea Botley. What's up, Hosea? He says, due to COVID-19, how do you see the summer as far as relocations? What are you hearing from your accounts?
Yeah. So we've seen a really interesting line in the sand between our account base. So our larger accounts throughout the whole COVID process have really just kind of steamrolled through it. So they just continued doing their moves. I mean, literally everybody was basically quiet for the second half of March, when it all went down. New orders basically were nothing. Existing moves were completed, but new moved authorizations, were way down. And then it started, picking back up, relatively in April and then through May and now. But our larger accounts where relocation is more a part of their culture, they're a more mature account, just kind of used to doing relocation. They've really continued through this and not really looked back. If they're down 5-10% maybe. And one of our clients is actually up because they just have some different strategic goals going on. Where we saw a really line in the sand was with our smaller account bases. So those companies that are moving under 10, under 5, or just executives, they basically have frozen. So they've gone to nothing. And so that's where we're seeing a lot of our volume decline, is in those smaller accounts that have not come back yet, right? Where if we were in the start of the summer here, we'd already have 5 orders from them, or 4 or 7 or whatever. It's nothing. So that's what I found interesting, is how that line in the sand came to be. So what does that mean for this summer? It's anybody's guess. I mean, there are clients that are telling us, okay, we got some, we're just waiting to launch them. But you can never. I don't count on anything until it comes in the door. So it's all hearsay until that. But so one thing we've done to kind of be proactive is started a restart relocation campaign this week. So we're messaging out to our clients that we're here, we're ready, our supply chain's ready, safeguards are in place. Other companies are moving. It is safe out there. Our supply chain's been fantastic in putting together protocols and new processes, literally on a dime when this all went down. It's been amazing to watch. So we're really turning a proactive effort towards our client base to kind of get them hopefully comfortable with relocating again. And we know everyone's pace is going to be different. Everyone's financial uncertainty is different. So some it's going to work, some it won't. But at least in terms of running a business and trying to keep things moving well here, we want to at least try and show that the safeguards are there, and you can relocate again.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a great point about this whole restart relocation thing, because I think as an industry, we can't undersell ourselves as thought leaders, right? And as change agents in the broader HR, total rewards, benefits community, right? We need to really be out there, out front, loud and proud around what we do, how we do it so well. And I mean, this goes into another conversation, John, that I think we're going to have today about managed relocation and the importance, right? And how we get that message out. But I mean, I think this restart relocation is a part of that, right? And I think sometimes we let the conversation come to us and we don't necessarily reframe it and take an active and proactive approach and steering these conversations. But I mean, truthfully, our clients look to us as experts. Why do we not carry that mantle? We have to do that. Right.
Yeah, we've all been in a wait and see approach, and some of it was, and a lot of it was for good reason. I mean, this was a serious pandemic, and it didn't feel right to press like that, to your clients, and it's a delicate balance. I mean, you're professionally, talking about your services, that we're here, we can do it, we got the right processes in place, we're ready for you. It's a fine line, because you want to be going over the top where you're like being pushy, and then that deters them. But you still want to promote yourself. I mean, the restaurants that are now opening, I mean, they're loud and proud that they're open, we're here, we're ready to go. We need a little bit of that. And so kind of my call to action to the industry is to, get off the sidelines a little bit. If you're not inquiring with your clients on a regular basis, do that. Get them thinking about relocation again. Share with them what your supply chain is doing. Again, the supply chain has been just phenomenal. I mean, in RMC, we're just sitting at home or in an office, going through the process, and we got movers and real estate agents, temporary housing people on the front lines that had to change their processes, basically overnight. And so they've done the legwork. And they're ready to rock, and we got to get that message out there.
Yeah, I think so. So let's start using the hashtag restart relocation. So as we're starting to share stuff from our companies on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Insta, whatever, and we're showing and showcasing how we are getting after it. Let's start using this hashtag restart relocation and see if we can't get this thing trending a little bit, because I think. I think there's a story of hope there as well, which is kind of cool.
There's an uplifting, there's an inspirational side to it. So I think that helps the cause also.
So we have some more questions here, and then we'll get to some more topics. And this is kind of 2 questions here that are similar. Cheryl said, "Will work from home reduce the need for relocation? Do we anticipate an overall reduction based on employees having the ability to work from home?" And Doug kind of says something similar. Do you see companies hiring to virtual and not moving people to areas or letting them stay across the country?
I mean, $1 million macro long-term question for our industry. I mean, it's hard to know where it all shakes out. I don't think anybody really knows what they want to do. I think it'll probably be industry specific. It'll probably be role specific. Salespeople, can they continue to work really everywhere? Probably. But if you're manufacturing and you run a plant and you're making products, I mean, someone's got to be there to oversee it. So it's so hard to know. I mean, there could be an initial overreaction where on a macro level we see relocations reduced because everyone tries to work from home in full capacity. And then there may be a correction from that where, okay, work from home is a benefit, but we still need you in the vicinity of this location. So, we're headquartered in Chicago. We need you in the area. We need you in the suburbs if that's where you want to live. You can work out there, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but Tuesday, Thursday, we need you downtown talking to people and collaborating and doing certain things.
Right.
I think that's where it settles eventually, but that doesn't mean it won't get there smoothly.
Yeah, and I like that too. And I could see in a scenario like that where that actually, again, can enhance relocation. Or spark relocation, because now when you're talking about working like 2 days in the office, 3 days out, or 1 week on, 1 week off, or whatever, but still having a need to be, for that proximity to the headquarters or to the office, that also now opens up a much larger radius of around the office that you can live in, right? So many more. Right. Options. Your dollar goes so much further now because you're now working 50 minutes from work instead of 30 minutes from work. And so, I could see that loosening up some of the affordability issues that we've seen before, whether, when people say, let's say, move to the coast, for instance, or the major cities for opportunities. We have some more questions. Gosh, these questions are coming in. Some of them are really good. Some of them are funny. We're going to get to all of them. Molly Feldman says, what are you seeing with international assignments?
Well, I mean, dried up a lot. NRIs in general, I mean, we do global, but it's not a major, component of our business. About maybe 20% of our moves are global. Basically came to a halting stop, the last 3 months. They're starting to perk up a little bit again here. It's going to be country to country on what, companies do around it and what their philosophy is. Again, industry, job specific, I think too, same factors.
One last question from the audience here before we get back to our topics. We got actually this is a really good question. Michelle Velasquez, let's get to the real important topics. What is John's go-to karaoke song?
Oh man,
I think we know this. If you're a fan of John Zilka, I think you know this.
It's either "Zombie" by the Cranberries, or it's NSYNC, Bye Bye Bye. I think that's what we did, Michelle. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong.
Let's have some accountability and transparency in the comments here. Fact check John Zilka. Hashtag fact check John Zilka. I would have thought it was Lose Yourself, because I swear you drop a Lose Yourself reference quarterly.
I do that for you in Detroit. That's why I always do it.
Is that just because I'm in the D? My palms are always sweaty.
We go back to USC. The 1 minute intro to that song was our football team entrance music. Mid 2000s when that song was at the top. So that song always has that memory for me as well.
Fortunately, the internet never lies. Michelle Velasquez says, yes, that is correct. So that's wonderful. Now, going back to as an industry, talking to the industries, we got 36 people on LinkedIn right now. We got 13 on Facebook right now. So we got some good people here. By the way, give yourself a like, give a thumbs up to John right now as well. Give him a like, put some more comments down there for us. We'll get to all of them. But I wanted to go back here to topics. I want to ask you a question because I feel like you're a leader in the industry. You're someone that's always thinking ahead and thinking strategically about messaging and things like that. And I wanted to ask you, how do we really spread the word about managed relocation? And I love that you've made this distinction about managed relocations. Like, hey, everybody, guess what? we're in the managed relocation business, right? How do we do this from an educational standpoint? What does that look like?
Well, everybody's got to have an answer when that prospect or client says, we got a lump sum, or we're thinking about lump sum. We better have an answer right away that stresses why that could create problems and the value of a managed relocation experience, right? I mean, I've said this, we're relocation management companies, we're not relocation self-service companies. I don't like that some RMCs have created self-service portals. I think that's just, I don't think that helps us in the long term to kind of, go that route. So we got to know the value.
I want to unpack that for a second. That for a second, right? Because I think that's a really interesting take. You got a hot take there, Zilka. All right, you don't like these self-service portals from RMCs. Why is that?
Because I think you're just trying to be everything to everybody, and you're just kind of being beholden to the sales process. You want to have an answer for everything instead of having what you're about and standing behind it and showing the value of it and being okay if a client or company doesn't want to go that route. That's where my issue has been. And I don't think creating more self-service, portals, helps the longevity of being an RMC, because you're just converting it from managed to self-service.
But you're commoditizing yourself, right? At the same time. Right? You're basically saying, my expertise and consultation is not actually worth anything. Here you go. Here's my supply chain. Knock yourself out and have an Expedia experience, right? Yeah. And here's the funny thing too. It's like anything that we're building, it's not better than Google for like finding instant answers.
Right. Now, we've been talking about this.
The quality and the curation of the suppliers and the vetted suppliers, yes, it is. But if somebody really wants a down and dirty quick answer, they're going to go to Google. And of course, we know what happens. We know what happens when they go to Google.
Right. Google moves, internet broker moves. I mean, you've had many shows on that. And I'm not convinced, and I've heard it from other, people, that even the RMCs that create these self-service portals, the usage rates seem to be extremely low. Whether that's in the communication process of getting it into the hands of the transferee early enough in the process, and sometimes that's not the fault of the RMC, but that's the client just giving them the order too late in the process, and the employee's already looked elsewhere. And I think this is a hidden element to it, is that to a person who's moving, we all know who we are and whatnot, but to them, we're just this random relocation company. Right? There's no level of trust that's built into anything yet. Their trust point is Google and their ability to control what they search for through Google and how that's curated. And so when you're up against that, I think you're always just kind of behind the 8 ball. And I think that's hurt the usage rates of these self-service portals. And I know a lot of RMCs have invested a lot of money in them and continually have to do that to stay, up to speed with the other, more technology-based RMCs in our industry that keep upping the game also. I'd be really curious, what the usage rates are on these, and if it's really been worth the investment. Now, if you got to have that to check the box on an RFP, then that's another question too that has to be considered. But in terms of actually the usage of it, I question it.
Well, I mean, as soon as as a consumer, as soon as you ask me to create a username and password to access a site and to get behind
your guard,
my guard goes up, but I'm also like TLDR. Like I ain't got time for that. Like what you want me to enter a username that may or may not be the first username of that type, and then I have to go into the password, and then I have to re-enter at the same time, and then I have to make up one that's got all the special cases and stuff. It's like, get it for what? How many times am I going to use your site? I don't even know if I'm going to find the answer behind this amazing password protected wall that you've created here. Like I have no trust in this process whatsoever. I'm out, and then they turn to Google and ish gets crazy on the internet, and we talked about this, but I'm going to keep talking about this because just as lump sum is, in my opinion, the most pressing issue that is in the managed relocation industry at this very moment, I believe that the proliferation of internet brokers is the most pressing issue in the moving and storage industry at this very moment. It's not driver shortage.
Yeah.
It's the fact that people go on Google and they Google movers and they get jack wagons like this, okay, who pop up, all right, and give them janky quotes based on cubic footage, okay, and they say it's binding, and then they raise the price 3 to 5 times upon delivery. And it's frankly, it's perfectly, most of what they do, 90% of what they do is perfectly legal. And that's the other thing too. And consumers assume if I Google it and I get an answer, A, it's probably a reputable company. B, if it's not, I have recourse with the BBB, or I leave them a bad Yelp review, or I go to complain about them or something like that, and somebody cares. But you know what? Sawgrass moving right here, okay, is probably wheatgrass moving tomorrow, okay? So it doesn't really matter if you leave them a bad Yelp review. So I'm just
and the hidden cost of all this to yourself and your team staff and people at RMCs is the time you waste having to explain the differences between our movers and their movers. This is like one-on-one, jungle combat to go through line by line and explain things. It is such a time suck, and you're still 50-50 maybe going to get the order. And how much time have you wasted having to explain all of this, right? And so to do that on a one-on-one basis for every single transferring order that comes through when they're comparing their Google search to what's in your self-service portal, I mean, is that really worth all that investment? The better investment needs to be at the start of the client conversation in really explaining why we don't even want to go down that route. Let's do a managed program. Lump sums or self-service, a lot of times people like that because it's easy. It's a predictable cost. On paper, it seems easy. Well, one thing we like to do is that, okay, I get the whole budget part of it. So tell us your budget. Let's then work backwards on a policy, a defined policy that actually will fit that budget. Most of the time. Is there going to be variance? Yes. And that's just kind of, you got to, that's going to be part of the process, but if your budget, you're only willing to do, $10,000 a move, $20,000 a move. Okay, let's identify the benefits that are most useful, which typically, everybody has stuff, right? So you got to move your stuff. So some kind of moving service makes sense. How do we structure that moving benefit? What partners do we use at what price points? Are we packing or not packing? Are we unpacking or not packing? What's the level of service, within the benefit? And let's look at where you're moving people to and from typically. Let's look at the ages of the people you're moving and fit a defined policy that fits that population instead of this wild, wild west of, well, we give 20 grand and we want to stick to that. And you kind of help them manage that, because managed budgets aren't easy either.
No,
I mean, you're fighting with the transferee who, again, got a quote elsewhere, and you got to explain, well, yes, I know ours is $2,000 more, but you're getting X, Y, Z. Well, again, it goes back to that trust. To them, we're just a random relocation company, right? And so they're trying to maximize their money because they want to use it elsewhere. They want to use it on another ticket, or they want to buy a new TV or couch, as part of that. So they want to maximize that spend. They're willing to take more risks in their experience when they control the money. And our biggest thing that we preach, in our industry is about duty of care and great experiences. And so the dollars don't always match up, with what a client's willing to pay when the number is displayed. So if you got a 20K budget, let's keep that behind the scenes. Let's build a policy that fits that. Don't tell the transferee and then create this natural friction between us and them.
Well, and you have to build policies that fit that on the macro when you average them out, because you can build a policy that maybe it's 24 grand, but maybe the next one's 16. And you have to also convince your client, I think, to look at the average cost of relocation and not look at a singular event. And here's where I go with that, right? I have a client that has a $15,000 cap on their moves. Okay. And they're for physicians. I mean, these people are surgeons, right? They're making 300 grand a year. Okay. Or more. And they're getting 15,000 to move, right? And they went to my client and they said, "Gosh, our moves are really expensive. Our employees are finding cheaper moves elsewhere. What can we do about the cost?" They send it to me. I say, "Okay, I'll pull the last 5 invoices. I pull the last 5 invoices for all the doctors that we move for them. We had one that was at $5,200. We had one that was at $9,400. We had one that was at $6,000. We had one that was at 17,000, which was $2,000 over cap, and we had one that was at 28,000, which was 13 grand over cap. So when you look at it in the aggregate, they average at 15,000, but you have tremendous amounts of friction with the person that went to 28,000, but you're also punishing this person because they happen to live in a larger home. They moved from Texas, where they had a big old house, and they had marble stuff, and they had grand pianos and grandfather clocks. And oh, by the way, did I mention he's a heart surgeon, for goodness sakes? I mean, how are you going to put a $15,000 cap on a heart surgeon? And by the way, you're probably paying him $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. Okay. And you're complaining about the extra 10 grand on the move. So, and now he's got to be and now it's got to be COD to him because they wouldn't approve the last 4 grand or whatever. Right. And so I'm getting into the specifics because I think the specifics is where the rubber meets the road on these situations. Yeah. And I went back to my client and I actually said, and I was kind of proud of myself for actually having the gumption to say this. I said, I don't think this is a pricing problem because, oh, by the way, our pricing tariffs are far better than my competitors. And here's some analysis on that. I think this is a policy problem. And they shouldn't have $15,000 caps on their move. They should just say, we're going to move all their household goods in one car and call it a day. Because in average and in aggregate, you're still getting to that $15,000 target you're looking for, and you're not causing issues with 40% of your population.
Right. Yeah, what I think too many companies, when the ones that create these managed budgets and they put these dollar figures on different policy levels, and they're not factoring in distance, size of house, size of family, time of year, anything like that. It's who knows how these numbers are created when you first see them.
And you're also creating biases. I'm sorry, John, but you're also creating biases in your relocation program because you're saying I'm only going to move young single people who don't have a lot of stuff, spouses, kids, etc. So, hello, from a talent management and equality and access to opportunity, you actually have you have biases in your policies.
Right. Yeah, they think because the number's the same that they're being equitable. That's big in the HR world and benefits, right? Well, my argument is the equitableness comes from the same access to the relocation benefit, and you understanding that there's going to be a variability of cost for that benefit. An example I've used is when you hire somebody, you don't know if their medical is family or if they're single, or you're not supposed to know that. Maybe you find out, and so the equitableness on medical insurance is everybody has access to medical insurance. That doesn't mean it costs the company the same per person. It's different. Right? Families cost more than single people, right? So it's those concepts, right? So and I think, so what do we do about this, right? What are the action items? I think that angle is taking relocation benefits and putting them in a similar window as other HR benefits. Maybe that'll help the HR understanding of what we're talking about, where the equitableness is the same access to the benefit, not necessarily the same price.
And I think one of the problems is we're looking at this from a compensation standpoint, like a dollar standpoint, but we need to look at it like a benefit standpoint, because you would never say to an employee, okay, our company policy is that we're going to insure you, your spouse, and one child. You would never say you, your spouse, and one child. But that's essentially what you're saying when you put a $15,000 arbitrary number on a move. Katie Linehan says, great analogy, John. People are digging it here. Katie Linehan agreed. Dan Susko says, Vinny saying, crazy day today, back-to-back Zoom meetings at 7 a.m. Looking forward to listening to the show later. Let's see here. We got a comment here from Victoria McCullough. A lot of RMCs are laying off, furloughing employees, or reducing work hours. How's that going to affect the industry as a whole when clients are ready to go again?
I mean, it's a cat and mouse game. I don't know. We at NRI have not done any of that. So our whole team is still intact here, and we hope everything picks up and we get back to normal here. But it's a cat and mouse game, and I think every industry is dealing with that. Even restaurants. How many do we bring back? We can only have 25% capacity. We can only have 50% capacity, right? Then what do you do when it's full go, but the market is not ready to go back full go? So it's a huge cat and mouse game, and there's no easy answers until we get, hopefully through the middle of fall, we'll get some clear answers if orders are coming back as they normally do. and then you got to make the staffing decisions. But yeah, it's a tough answer, and there's no answers right now or good ones. And I think literally every industry is dealing with it.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy yesterday who owns a moving company, and he said it seems like the people who didn't flinch when this happened and stayed the course are going, the companies who did that are going to emerge from this in a lot better position, because they didn't jettison the staff and then have to go and like try to like rehire them back. Meanwhile, of course, what are they going to do? I mean, they went and found other jobs, and so
some haven't wanted to come back because they've been making more unemployment. So there's been a lot. Even the government's created some hassles in this process because some people don't want to come back because they're actually making more unemployment. So that's creating issues. So where do you go from there?
That's a great point. That's a great point. I know here in Michigan, I think we got an extra. I think it was the federal gave another $660 on something, $630 on top of the 332 they were offering on unemployment. People are making like 960, like 982 or something. I mean, it was a lot of money. Doing really poor math here on the fly. Mena Elsafori says, do you think that culture and generations are playing an important role on portal usage?
So that's a great question. I would think that would allude to that, are most people who are moving, say over 35, middle age and older, they're not ready to adopt more of a technology process. Maybe that's kind of the premise of the question. I think that's definitely part of it. Are people under 35, more apt to want to use the technology? Yes. So are companies investing in, the self-service stuff because they see the future and they want to be the solution ready for that future? Yes, I totally get that. Where I counter that a little bit is just in our own experience with some of our client base. So I think I shared this the last podcast, but nobody saw it. But so we have a large law firm that moves, over 150 people a year, right? And they're all law school graduates. So they're 25, 26, 27. They would be prime for a tech-driven process. And we get our highest ratings from that population, compared probably across our entire client base. Younger people still, they like the service. They like talking to somebody. As I know that's counter to everything. I'm just going by what we see.
It's not what
on a macro scale,
but it's what
on a macro scale from an actual client. So not conjecture, not what you're supposed to create content around. What I actually see is these people really like the access to somebody. They like that the benefits defined. They like that, oh, hey, I'm going to use one of your movers. I don't have to research or worry about the cost per se. Oh, this is great. And it's a great experience for them. And we're proactive with the communication, and we follow up. And when things happen, we fix it for them or whatever. So I don't see that all the time. I see that example, and it makes me question the conventional wisdom, right? In the same regard, we do surveys. We all do, right? And someone may say, well, they say this because you must not have great technology. But I've never seen a survey tell me, you know what, this was such an awesome move because your technology was so great. Right. When it's an awesome move and they comment, it's the consultant. It's the great moving company. It's you always responded to me. You communicated to me. You helped me through this. It's always the human side of it that gets the 5-star rating and gets the great comment. They don't say, hey, I loved your expense reimbursement process online. They're not dropping those comments.
Right.
And so it's
love it.
It's two sides.
Love it. It's empathy and responsiveness, which is what ruled the day 50 years ago, 500 years ago, and 5 years from now. I mean, it's empathy and responsiveness. And now responsiveness can be aided by technology,
right.
For sure. I mean, look at text messaging. I mean, text messaging is a perfect example of how technology has made us more responsive. We can just shoot a quick little text out, and it's like a yes or no answer, no problem.
See, just that little thing, right? It's almost, and even NRI, admittedly, we have to do more of this stuff. But stuff just like text messaging, right? if you meet the transferee where how they like to communicate, such as a text, that is so much easier to invest in and implement than spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a self-service portal or an app that you think's going to work, but then doesn't work anywhere near you thought it would. Had you just created maybe a texting relationship with the transferee, they would have thought you were fantastic.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. So what I found is it's not technology, it's process innovation. People want process innovation. They don't want a newer, a cooler app. They want a better process, a more streamlined process. I want to ask you, as we're talking about systems right now, and we're hitting our hour, and I'm just going to
go long. I got time. If there's,
I was going to say, I'm just going to abuse your calendar here. So my bad in advance for that. But I want to talk about systems, right? Because, you know, at the moving company, we probably operate about 5 systems here. Okay, of varying ages. All right, one's a green screen. I swear to God. You have your systems. I have dozens of RMCs I work with, and they all have a portal they want me to log into, right, and just regurgitate the same information that I put into my system 2 seconds ago. And every time somebody, you know, changes their move date, I'm supposed to log in, name and password, right, and let them know. And then they run a report, and they send me the report, and it's got empty fields in it. And then they ask me to go into the spreadsheet, fill out the fields, email it back, and then they can have an intern put it into their portal. This is what goes on these days.
Yeah.
What the hell, John?
Yeah. So one, we don't make our supply chain do that. So, and it's before it was a technology concern. So we just, and amidst all this COVID, we launched a new internal enterprise management system, all remotely and virtually. Our team did a fantastic job in all of that. So that's up and running. That'll allow us for more of this back-end integration where I want to get into, and that's key. The time the supply chain wastes on doing that, I mean, you tell me. I mean, it's got to be just insane and super annoying. And you have busy bodies that just do this data entry.
We have people coming in the summer as coordinator assistants. I got my frontline people have assistants.
Right. So what's the solution to this? I think the solution is this back-end integration. I think the challenge there is you got 40 different RMCs. You got hundreds of suppliers across all the different verticals, right? Some large, some medium, some boutiques. Who's going to have? Your boutiques are probably going to struggle creating the right process in place to pull that off. And so if you're an RMC that wants to onboard this, but you've got suppliers you really love and people you really love, but they just can't pull off the tech part yet, are you not going to use them because they can't pull that part off? So I think that's a challenge. And so, everyone talks about, well, we got to get to this one holistic system that we're all using. I don't see how that's practical unless every RMC is going to start using the same, relocation software. There's a couple, obviously, players in the industry. A lot of RMCs have their own software. So there's not going to be some, we're all going to use some central system, because that's not part of our, we're all different. We're all competitive and competitively different, right? And so how do you get the uniformness of it where a supplier can know the right way to set up their integration behind the scenes to work with multiple RMCs? I mean, I think the only way we can really start is really from maybe the worldwide ERC side, where they create some type of standardization around the data fields. Like, what are we calling these things, right? What is a uniform method of, is it, pack date, move date, is it delivery date? Like, get some uniformity that all providers can kind of go off of. And then you're going to have to do it, either direct integration or data warehousing, something like that. But everyone's not going to be on the same system one day. That's just not happening. So you got to have some middle ground body, such as ERC, that creates a guideline of terms and data points that each company in our space can build their system off of, to create that uniformity to have the integration behind the scenes.
So a supplier could go to you and they could say, I am worldwide ERC data certified, which means that I use these standard terms. I have these standard API languages developed, and I have a commitment to integration. And so I think that's brilliant. And I think that it would require
and you would probably see companies be created that specialize in creating that for boutique suppliers or smaller entities in the space to get them to that point, right? Or I would bet the software companies themselves would create that, in conjunction to help their clients.
Well, and so Vinny asked John, but that is one piece between the RMCs. What about the DSPs? Tax, immigration, household goods providers, language, and so much more.
ERC would have to do this for basically every service vertical. You gotta script it out of how we want to name data fields, get everybody on the same page.
Standards and practices. I mean, standards and practices is something that associations like IAM have done on the moving side. Are working through still. I mean, and gosh, that could be the other thing. Maybe it's the individual service verticals. They come up with their own sets for their vertical and then bubble that up to ERC, right? And then there's an overarching, right, one for RMCs and how they manage to it. But I mean, I think that's right. But the point I was going to make is that RMCs have to make a commitment to invest in this, because the technology that I'm seeing invested in is customer facing technology, portals, sexy stuff that appears in RFPs that sizzle, not steak, and can sell product. Okay. And the stake technology is the integration between the supply chain to drive true efficiency, which lowers your cost and increases your speed of service. And that is where you're going to win. But all these people, to your point earlier about these portals and everything, all these companies are investing all this money in creating these sexy portals that they think people want to use because people say they want to use them. But in truth, nobody does use them. But you know what everybody does use? The system that they write the orders in. That's what everybody's using, okay? So invest your technology there and your money in technology there is what I think. Michelle Velasquez says blockchain. She gives a shout out, tongue-in-cheek probably, maybe not, to blockchain. Michael James says it's terrible. The amount of staff it takes to manage all these portals is crazy, especially on the temp housing side. I mean, they're portal
you guys got to do it, right? If you want to work with an RMC, you want access to that funnel of business, you're kind of beholden to that. And but your point about the sexy side of it, the client, the customer facing stuff to win the business, that's it. But that's also a compelling case, because I'm sure there are other RMCs that would tell me, well, we do that to get the traditional business, right? We do that so we have access to the executive homeowners and the defined policies, the more lucrative orders. We got to have this down here because they're making it as part of our requirement with this RFP. So we were tired of losing them because we didn't have this, so we created it. And so we view this investment over here is allowing us to access the more lucrative moves over here, which is a compelling argument.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's positive ROI. There's positive ROI from that standpoint for sure. But I guess my point is you can't stop there, because you're not really innovating. You're just creating, you're not innovating. Jennifer Breen says sizzle, not steak. Love it. Yeah, I think this relates to people. People are digging this conversation. Bruce Waller says, hey, Ben and John, is such great dialogue, thinking big for the industry. And John, this is why I always love talking to you, man, because you always want to get into like these big problems, John Marsh, great insights today, fellas. Historically, most people tend to have short-term memories. As the restrictions begin to subside and the economy opens up, hopefully everyone will become more comfortable, and #restart Relo will begin sooner than later. Oh, and can you help Reggie get his Heisman back?
Hopefully that's the next step. That would be, I think he deserves that back.
Yeah, he was the truth in college.
But to his other point, I mean, none of us know what happens. How long does it take for all of us to get back to normal, to pre-COVID? I mean, everyone's going to have companies, businesses. Everyone's going to have these safeguards and protocols. What's the tipping point? As long as it goes away, where we get back to pre-COVID mentality, and it's nobody knows. It's quite the question. So
speaking of quite the question, I've saved my favorite question for last for you, John. Okay. We joke about buzzwords all the time, okay, in this business, all right. And portal, I think, is one of them that we need to kill right now. You and I were on a panel, ideas that must die, right? And it was a lot of fun. And I think lump sum was the idea you killed. But and if you're watching at home, I want you to play along with us right now. So I want everybody right now to write in the comments buzzwords that you see in the relocation business that are just, we need to retire these right now. We need to kill these words right now, get them out of our vocabulary. They're overused. They're all sizzle, no steak. What are some of these buzzwords? And I offer transferee experience, is one of these things that, like we say all the time, it probably doesn't really actually mean anything anymore at this point. John, what are some of your favorite buzzwords that you hear? And by favorite, I mean least favorite.
Well, lump sum, managed move, and quite frankly, ecosystem. I'm tired of hearing that word.
How about cafeteria plan? I hate
yeah,
that.
I don't even know what that means.
Cafeteria plan. It's like, oh, what the hell? Who eats at a cafeteria? Like I don't understand. Yeah. I put them on.
Is anybody putting anything? What are people saying?
Yeah. There's a little bit of a delay here, but keep them coming, everybody. Here, let's see here. Oh, here we go. Jamie says the new normal.
New normal.
Let's see here. Quinn Harker says due diligence. Yeah, gotta do our due diligence here. Shipper. Oh, he's saying shipper. So in household goods, we say, the movers say the shipper. Shipper said this, shipper said that. Vinny over here says unprecedented times, So anyway, yeah, we talk about this all the time because, and we just roll our eyes when we hear people, throw out these buzzwords and stuff that just are empty at this point.
Curation. I'm tired of curation.
You're tired of curation. I kind of like curation. Yeah. I like the idea of curating. Oh, here we go. Michelle says pre-COVID, post-COVID.
I've already used that today.
Yeah. So she's tired of it, John. Okay. She really would appreciate you not saying that anymore. I say post-COVID all the time. I'm like a buzzword.
Post-COVID environment. We're entering into a post-COVID environment.
Well, if there's pre-COVID and there's post-COVID, are we just in COVID?
Vinny, that's a good one. Single point of contact. Yeah, let's get that out of here. That is nowhere near anywhere close to reality.
I think this one has been kind of retired at this point. I think there was one time where I think Susan was on stage at ERC or something, and she just killed this word. And she was like, can we just, get over single point of contact? It's like, it's not going to work. It doesn't work, whatever. Yeah. And I've seen it. And in fairness, I've actually seen a lot of my RMC clients move away from single point of contact. But that's another one of those things that it sounds good when you're selling it, but it doesn't work in practice.
Right.
Relocation consultants can't be experts at everything.
No, there's too many service verticals. There's too many people on the front line coordinating something. We don't use that term. We use main point of contact. When we talk about what our consultants are doing, I like to use the model that we're like the general contractor of the move, right? Just like who's building a house or something. Mm-hmm. You come to that general contract, and then we go to the specialist within our supply chain that works for your moving company, real estate agent, that type of thing.
Well, I mean, that's a great analogy too, right? Because I mean, would you build a house without a general contractor? I mean, would you go out and hire?
Yeah, somebody has to be the curator or the aggregator of the supply chain.
Yeah.
I thought another one, the future of work. I'm tired of that one too.
The future of work. Yep. Gig economy.
Yes.
I know. Yeah, Peggy used to love that one. Jamie Mather says disruptor. Disrupt the disruptor, right? So anyway, that was just kind of a little fun one. But John, I wanted to say, this has been a lot of fun. Is there any topics or other questions that you wanted to bring up and talk about?
No, I mean, it's, back to kind of the theme here, the restart relocation. I just think it's important. I think as an industry, we've been in this wait and see approach. We're in June now. We're seeing more uptick. I mean, so some of this comes from just our own experiences, my experiences. So we're seeing clients perk up that hadn't been, the last 3 months. We're seeing projects, get re-looked at. In May we signed 4 clients. So there's still new business activity now going on where that was essentially, dead in March and April. So the interest is perking up. And so I just encourage everybody to as professionally as you can promote that with your client base. Just make sure they know you're ready. You got the safeguards. Don't let that be a reason that a client or customer could be doubtful that doing a relocation in this environment is possible. Just give them that understanding, and then what happens at everybody's pace. But I don't think we want to regret it if we get into November and there's still not the same volume.
So if you're still watching right now, I got a surprise for you. So we got 29 people still on LinkedIn that hung in till the end. We went an hour and 15. Hit that like button, and I'm going to give you a surprise. Everybody hits that like button right now. We're gonna play a little surprise here. John gave us a little outro video here that he did, and we're gonna go ahead and play this. As our
Can I cue it up? Can I cue it up?
Tee it up.
All right. So we launched a Restart Relocation campaign this week. We did a legit company video on it, and but we kind of had some fun. So 2 weeks ago, I posted a thing about Star Wars: The Relo's Awakening, because I can kind of sense some of our clients were starting to come back to us a little bit. So I just created took the Star Wars logo, put Reloads Awakens in, and just posted that with a quote, and got quite a few likes out of it. So I'm like, okay, got something here. And so just to kind of have a fun thing, created a 2-minute trailer for Star Wars: The Relo's Awaken. It's not some well-produced thing. It's a song and images changing, but if that's what you have queued up here, hopefully.
How are going to do your highlight films from USC?
Well, there are none, so there's no video.
So that's short. Those are shorter than this clip. Okay.
Yeah, that's about 10 seconds. But yeah, so if that's what you got, cue it up, and if it puts a smile on your face and at least gets you a little bit amped up for the summer, then that's all we wanted.
Maybe.
Is it going?
Doesn't appear to be going. John, people are loving it right
Hollywood
now.
produced.
People are loving it, dude. I mean, our viewership actually went up as as this was on. Let's see here the comments here. Jamie Massler, love it, John. I'll be spreading the hashtag restart relo.
Kind of like the shorter version. Let's get that going. Restart Relo is better.
Restart
than
Relo.
Relocation.
All right, restart
That's
Relo. Sandra Clary, I love it. Is that on your page so that we can share it within?
Yeah.
Our
So
network?
This was the worldwide premiere on Love and Relo. So I'll be dropping this tomorrow on the NRI feeds. So there you go, exclusive.
All right, Matt Tobel, a John Williams score. I thought you said this wasn't a big production cost. LOL. Yeah, blew all that PPP money on the John Williams score. Nice.
There were some copyright infringements, but I don't have to tell anybody.
A little bit. Michelle Velasquez, this is awesome. Janet
Yeah,
Turner,
so hopefully that gets you everyone fired up. Let's have a good summer. Let's get going. If that made you smile or get fired up, that was worth it.
Vinny wants to share it. Ryan Retroba loves it. This is great. Restart relocation. John, listen, you got to make a decision on this hashtag, man, before it starts trending, because you can't have people saying relo, have people say relocation. We got to like come to a meeting of the minds on this. Is it hashtag restart relo? Is that what we're gonna go with?
Can we do an audience poll real quick? Can we just get a pipeline of answers?
Audience poll right now. We got 30 people on LinkedIn, 10 people on Facebook. I expect 40 answers right now. Is it hashtag restart relocation, or is it hashtag restart relo, or is it restart relos? Okay, hey, whatever you want it to be, put it in the comments right now and go. Janet's watching backstage, so she always kicks it off. Restart Relo. All right, we got one vote for Restart Relo.
It's easy. Restart Relo is always easier to say. Yeah.
We got Relo's the Relo. Everybody's digging the Relo.
Yeah, there we go. It's already done. It's done.
Oh, Vinny Valverde's putting an exclamation point. I don't know if that changes anything.
We're gonna get 90%.
It's unanimous. It's unanimous. Oh man, people are. This right here is going to get the hashtag. This is going to get it trending right now. Everybody doing this hashtag restart Relo. We're changing the industry right now. You know, Molly, no spaces in hashtags.
Only on Love and Relo, man. Only on Love and Relo.
Yeah, we try to do important stuff here, you know, and starting hashtags. I mean, what's really more important than that right now?
It's 100%. It's 100%. Yeah, Relo is just so much easier to say.
See, and that's what we do. We crowdsource it right there. Right. We get answers, immediate feedback.
I gotta change. I gotta edit all my posts I already did this week, so I gotta change those.
You know what? If anything I've learned about doing this show is that you're gonna iterate. You're gonna build this thing in the air. You know. So everybody that chimed in, we're getting a ton of people interacting right now. This is fantastic. I've had a lot of fun today, John. Thank you so much to Janet Turner, our producer. Thank you to all the people that chimed in, all the fabulous questions we had. John, thank you so much for sharing your story and all your great perspective. I want to give you the last word, John, as we wrap here.
That's it. Restart Relo. You know, Relo's awakened. Let's go. Let's get this summer rocking. If it goes into the fall, even better. And let's just be positive and uplifting, and let's go. It's time.
Awesome. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching today. Tomorrow, Friday show, we got Katie McMichael, who is the Director of Government Affairs for the American Moving and Storage Association on. So if you want to learn how to arrest, convict, and sentence rogue movers, tune in tomorrow, or learn other ways we can be advocates in our industry. You know, whatever your bag is. Hey, thanks everybody for being a part of the show. Really appreciate y'all. Take care, everybody.